Hello everybody, welcome back to Blast Away the Game Review. Today we are going to be taking a look at Destiny 2's beta, which started on Tuesday for PlayStation 4 and Wednesday for Xbox One. Since we were unable to attend E3 2017, Destiny 2 itself was well out of our reach. We were unable to even get a glimpse of the game outside of the small press kits as well as the E3 briefing. And a lot of this is because we at Blast Away the Game Review could just not afford to go. It's too expensive between 3 writers and no financial backing. So we aren't getting to really do as much as we'd love to do. And it saddens me because I feel like I've disappointed you, the fans. Now, to make up for this, we were able to get into the open beta and get a really good feel for it in 8 to 12 hours between PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. While there certainly is more time with the beta in the upcoming days, there's no doubt, as I said, within those hours that I've played, that I feel I've really gotten a good feel for the game. I got to see all 3 classes, I got to do all the PvP modes for hours on end, I spent several hours in the strike, and so it's been a really enjoyable experience, especially for the fact this is significantly, and I mean significantly, smaller than Destiny 1's alpha and beta. And I want to clarify, when I mean small, you're not going to be seeing the Cryptarch identifying engrams. You're not going to have him helping you out with gear. You're not going to be seeing vendors for ammo packs. You're not going to be picking up loot off the ground except for ammo packs. You're literally seeing just the prologue mission, 2 crucible modes, and 1 strike. So everything that you would be hoping to do in this beta, you may not get to do. You're not going to be picking up new ships. You're not going to be calling out your Sparrow. You're not going to be doing any of that. You're not even going to get to do a patrol. You're literally going from point A to point B. Now, I want to say this executes itself really, really well. I mean, very, very well. So, I can't say I mind the cutback on content in disgruntlement. I don't. I actually admire that Bungie has left a lot to be desired out of the game's final retail release in September. For those of you wondering, as I said, how much there is, I literally mean how little of content there is just like I described. You're going to get to see all 3 classes with pre-designated gear. They're all at level 200 or 20 with light level 200. They're all predetermined characters. They do not have by any means customization. You're not going to get to mess with haircuts. You're not going to get to mess with facial features. None of the character creator is in this version of the beta, so do not expect to get to mess with it. And one thing that is also not in here, as you will notice, is our Guardians do not have a voice this time around. So I don't know if that has been cut from the final version, or if it's just been cut for the beta and they will do something later. Now, if they have, it's going to be a lot to be desired out of Ghost, because he's literally going to be playing the role of our own voice, since we won't have our characters doing that. Now, the other thing I do want to let you know is, by when I said there is very little, don't expect to get XP, don't expect to unlock perks, don't even expect to do a whole lot of stuff, even if you're scrapping gear. You're not going to get to do any of that. This beta is literally, it seems like, a test to see how PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and possibly PC are going to handle the game. As you can see, the PlayStation 4 handles all the fire detail, the shadow work. It handles all this magnificently well. I mean, clear down to the shader tools they've used, to the debris, to lighting, to even the small particle effects. Destiny 2 is a huge, and I mean huge, improvement to Destiny 1. Now, I know some of you will expect oh, well, you have comparisons to Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. Not in this video. This is truly a video to focus purely on Destiny 2. Now, as I said, I'm actually quite fine with the approach that Bungie took to this beta, especially because the lack of content leaves a lot of room to explore. And I mean, 15.27 gigs, that is a hefty amount. But what Bungie's showing is the tower itself and the characters within it aren't going to be stagnant anymore. They're playing a huge role even in the prologue mission. As you just saw, Lord Saladin opened a door for me, put me into his armory, let me get my first class exotic, which is a sweet business for Titan, and it is a minigun. So we will be seeing loadouts return the way they did. We're not going to be seeing, though, things like intelligence, discipline, and strength. Those are gone. They've been replaced with resilience, mobility, and recovery. So everything is going to have pre-designated cooldowns that we can't do anything about. No more stat toggling. So that is completely gone, which is actually really nice. And the new weapon system itself is actually really nice. Destiny 2 does feel more organically evolved than its predecessor, which is a huge improvement in comparison to the past title. Now, I can admit that I'm actually really impressed with this approximately 30-minute story mission. And if you know what you're doing, it's even shorter because, well, you know what you're doing. But for beginners who've never played a Destiny game, this is going to take a little bit. You're going to probably mess around, get used to the new class, you're going to sightsee. I know I did. And that is why this video is cut down below 30 minutes, because I spent a lot of time just looking around, admiring the scenes. But also, I will admit, I died quite a bit. This is not going to be easy as Destiny 1, and it really does feel like it's going to be focused on cooperative play. So don't expect to just have this be a walk in the park. It's not going to be a walk in the park. Now, the homecoming section of this beta, which is what you're seeing now on screen, is actually outlined with us, the players, trying to take back the city. You're seeing us help fight for the tower. We're looking for Zavala. We're trying to navigate our way through and basically doing what a Guardian does, which is try to protect the last of humanity. Now, for the video, I decided to go ahead and mess around with the Titan Sentinel class, which is essentially a more evolved version of the Defender. As you can see, they can carry a shield much like Captain America, so you can applaud that we now have a Captain America style character in the game. They can put a bubble around themselves like they used to, so that is still in existence. Bungie has not forgot about those of you who want to play your Titan as a defensive character, so that is still there. Now, you all know that Destiny 2 is going to be focusing on quote-unquote Gary, as Cade 6 calls him, and us the fans have actually adopted the name. Now, there are going to be moments within this mission that you will be fascinated by what you see. I mean, it is graphically, it's astounding. There's even questions about what the heck is that bottom right, because there are upgrades that we can do, but in the beta we don't get to explore those, so it's one of those, they are possibly leaving that for us to explore in the final version. So that is possible, and as you can see, Ward of Dawn is still here, so don't expect it to go anywhere. It's here to stay. Now, as you can see on screen, they did change how weapons work. Exotics now have set abilities, so we're not going to be messing around and toggling stuff anymore, which is really nice to see that exotics will not have variable stats. And it seems like neither will legendary items either. Now, as you can see here, the elemental weapon or energy weapons are ones that have Solar Arc and Void, so don't expect to put those in your kinetic slot. Kinetic means just what it means. They will not have an element. And something new has been added, actually. I'm thinking we'll get to choose mods for our weapons to upgrade them from, say, a blue to a purple, or maybe purple to exotic. But also, it looks like we may be able to change our guns' appearances with shaders, but it also looks like we may be able to change what element they're using. So that will be something truly exciting to see. So definitely, let's hope that that's what Bungie's working on. And the same goes for the armor and possibly even Ghost himself, it looks like. Now, will it change Ghost's actual initial appearance for the Ghost shell? I don't think it's going to. I think all we're going to see is variants of that shell that's equipped, much like our armor or our weapons. But we'll at least get to have some cosmetic fun there. Now, as I said, every weapon has been minimized so that players aren't going to be slammed with choices. You're not going to be seeing, your heavy weapons, which is your grenade launchers, your snipers, your shotguns, or as they're calling them, the heavy weapons. So you're not going to be seeing those changing a lot. The same goes for your armor. You're not going to be seeing intelligence, discipline, and strength anymore. You're going to be working with resistances through your resilience, your speed through mobility, and your health recovery through, recovery. So those are nice changes, because we're not going to be sitting here fighting down which cooldown do we want to go faster, which cooldown do we need to have hurry up. So it's really seems like Bungie's done a lot to evolve the system from what it used to be. Now, one thing you will notice is missing from the beta. We don't get to miss, or rather I should say, we will get to miss our sparrows because they're not in the beta. Neither are the horns. We can't pick up new ships, so you are only getting a glimpse of the ships that will be available through the beta itself for each of the classes. Now, what is nice is during this mission, there are moments, as I said, yet you will be fascinated to see. As you can see here, we're trying to push through Amanda's bay where all the starships come in. All the Vanguard members will appear, Guardians, what have you. It's been utterly destroyed. The tower essentially is gone. It's no longer there. It has been destroyed. And that is something that's really nice to see, especially because it is an attention to detail that wasn't there before. And what's more so interesting is the fact that Bungie is not afraid to show the vulnerability that's there, and they're not even scared to show us these new abilities. As you can see what I'm using, which is I'm deploying a mobile shield, and the mobile shield I have has two different versions. I can deploy a huge shield, I can deploy a small shield. The huge shield is wider, but I'm using the deployable where I can hide behind it and I can aim from behind cover, so that's a really nice trade-off to have. Now, outside of the story, as you can see, gunplay as a whole remains largely unchanged. It's still the same thing. Even the exotics feel pretty much all the same. So that is something really nice to see. And as you saw, I do have some machine guns to mess with, and I did mess with. I had rocket launchers. Well, I can't say rocket launchers because I had grenade launchers. I did get to mess with the sniper, the shotgun, you name it, I've messed with it. Scout rifles, pulse rifles, they're there. Now, the really interesting part of this beta, as I stated, is each class is unique in their own way. And for the sake of the beta, each of them are unique because you get to mess around with each of their own exotic weapons. You get to mess around with, say, the Sweet Business, which I'm using on screen right now, which is the Titan's exotic. You get to mess with the submachine gun, which the Warlock has, called the Risk Runner, and that one is truly a really nice and reworked version of the Zalo Supercell. So fans of the Zalo Supercell, you're not going to miss out on your weapon. It is there. It's still around. And if you guys are wondering, will the Hunter get something fun to mess with? Hunters, do not feel left out. You get a really cool gun called the Sunshot, and it's actually a energy solar pistol that incinerate your enemies, and if they die from it, they blow up. So you get to do everything Cayde loves about being a hunter. You get to blow things up. Now, as I said, so that is really nice to see. As you can see, my minigun is a kinetic, so I am using it in the kinetic slot. I have a pistol in the energy slot, and for my power weapon, I have a shotgun. Now, as I was saying, there was some stuff I really appreciated, which right here, I have been doing this mission a few times, and when I did the first few times, I had players join, so I'm really thinking drop in, drop out will be a big deal with Destiny 2. And as they said at E3 2017, community will be a big part. And as you saw here, I even resurrected Zavala because he got down, so I actually had to save Zavala. And it's really nice, especially because I get to see another side of Destiny. It goes to show even the Vanguard members themselves are vulnerable, and they each depend on the Guardians to help push them to what they're capable of. So it's really nice to see that human side of the game. With these small things aside, especially the weapons and the small changes, it's really cool to see that Destiny 2 is evolving away from what Destiny 1 was. We are getting to see, as I said, the Sentinel, which is a revamped version of the Titan Defender. We are getting to see remakes of the Blade Dancer, which is now them using a arc staff. So it's really cool because, you know, the Dawnblade for the Warlock is essentially a Sunsinger with Titan hammers, but a sword instead. So you're going to be seeing a lot of fire coming out of them. They do have a weld they can put down to overheal their teammates. Whereas I said Titans, they can put up a wall, they can throw their shield when they supercharge. Their grenades remain all the same, so that's really nice to see. And the Blade Dancer itself is kind of interesting, especially because the Hunter, as I said, it's been kind of interesting for the Blade Dancer because they've been kind of in this area where in Destiny they've been somewhat troubled throughout the game. So I can't go without saying that the Hunter Arcstrider doesn't go without some much needed changes for the Hunter. And as I said, the Sentinel is definitely a nice change for the Defender because now they have a offensive capability where they're not burning their supercharge and just wasting it. They do have now combative ways really to promote their class. So that is really nice to see. Now, because this video is getting underway where it's almost over, I do want to go over a few changes, especially to PvP, because as I said, yes, strikes are still around, but they're not around in the way that you're probably used to. But before the PvP is covered, I do shortly want to cover about this planet Nessus, or Nessus, which is the planet that will be replacing Venus throughout the course of Destiny 2, it looks like, because it is a very Vex infested planet. You are seeing a lot of Vex structuring, you're seeing a lot of Vex inhabiting it, really. And there's something here that the Cabal really, really want. And what's cool about this strike is it seems that Destiny 2 may have taken some small hints from Doom by id Software in its recent reboot, because each of the fights that you're going to come into are in these arena style settings. So you're going to be fighting Vex and Cabal in very arena style-esque combats, except for those small moments where you will be walking along paths, you will be going into structures, you will be jumping down, so platforming is still around. And it's really nice to see these small intricate details play out, especially because it works really well. And it actually gives some depth to the game, which is highly appreciated. Now, the most unique thing is bosses now have multiple phases. Much like raids, you're not going to see, a boss going from one little encounter to another. Instead, you're going to see these boss fights that are actually going to take a few minutes. They're not going to be just some pushover where you're going to hit them and run. Instead, you got to worry about mechanics, because some fights are truly mechanical aware, just like this guy who, with the modular mind, he will ignite the floor and he's going to launch us up. He will summon ads on the go, and he will adapt to what we're doing. Right now, it's just a platform fight where he's going to send everything he has against us. And it's cool because these final moments within the strike are truly, truly much more difficult than the original. Because let alone does he adapt to our combat, he also takes away the arena that we were fighting in by dissolving the floor. So we definitely have to pay attention to, you know, if we fall too far, we're going to die. So it's attention to details that they're throwing at the player for awareness checks. And it works quite well, and it's something that's highly appreciative of Destiny to give us. So it's definitely something to appreciate and take in, especially because it does take a lot of detail to make such things happen. Now, again, because I am short on time, I do want to quickly just state that if you are a fan of these type of things, the Destiny Strike on Nessus will definitely give you the fix you need, especially if you want to spend quite a bit of time in there, because all the classes do play different. Each of the subclasses within each class play differently, so there is different approaches to every moment of combat, because some of the classes will die quicker, some of them have to be more maneuverable, others have to just really, really go at it, especially the Titan, because they are your frontliner. Now, PvE is no doubt one of the funnest aspects, but what I want to talk about now, as I said briefly, is the new Counter-Strike Go style countdown mode, which is on Destiny. And as you can see, we're playing in Midtown, which serves itself up in the last city, so I'm guessing maybe something happens in the city that we're back here, or it's just a theme that they want to play in. And it's a mode I actually found myself spending quite a bit in, because it, much like Search and Destroy, it's two teams combating it out. They switch spots every round. One team attacks with a detonator, one team defends and tries to defuse the bomb. And so it works out really, really well. What's even more so interesting is, let alone do we have this mode, they brought back Control, and it's actually on a map that takes place on Nessus. So you are getting to see some of these small things that Bungie has implemented in the game and see them go full forward with it. They're not holding back, and they're ensuring us that we get to see new things that we've never seen before, and we get to see that the world in Destiny 2 isn't as small as it was in Destiny 1. Instead, it's a very big living and breathing entity. And it's very well crafted, so it's really fun. And as I said, it's something I really will be spending a lot of time in, especially if we see any patches happen in the Destiny 2 beta, which I would expect to have happen over the course of the next few days. Now, for those of you wondering, Control is there. It is the mode next to the strike to the left. You have this mode, which is to the right. So if you want to give either one a shot, they're both well worth it. But because I am out of time, I do want to thank all of you for tuning in to our YouTube channel here at Blast Away the Game Review. It is highly appreciated. If you like what you're seeing on our channel, please remember to hit this subscribe button. And if you really feel that it's something that your friends, family members, or anybody you know may enjoy, please link them to our channel. Have them subscribe to our channel by just hitting the subscribe button, and we'll hopefully see you around. Again, I'm your host, Dustin, here at Blast Away the Game Review, and we will be bringing you more Destiny 2 beta over the course of the next few days, so stay tuned.
They can't win if they're dead. Ha ha!